Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the F&B Talks by the Restaurant Times. I'm Nikunj from the Restaurant Times. Today, we bring to you a very special guest from the worlds of franchising who has made a mark across the UK and the Europe. Today, we have with us Mr. Shakeel Jivraj, Head of Operations at Queensway Coffee Houses. Shakeel Jivraj is a seasoned entrepreneur and franchisee in the world of hospitality. He's currently the Head of Operations at Queensway Coffee Houses for the Starbucks portfolio. The Queensway Group is a family business that was founded in 1973 by his great grandfather, Mr. Nurdin Jivraj. Its portfolio includes coffee houses, restaurants, residential property, and even a private member club. The Queensway Group operates brands such as KFC Europe, Starbucks, Pointer Hotel, Montagu Place, Ibis Style, Place Hotel, as well as the Sloan Club. As head of operation, Shakeel comes with extensive experience in improving strategic operations, promoting a culture of growth from within, and developing businesses into profitable endeavors. He comes with over 15 years of experience within the QSR industry and also as a franchisee with 9 Rounds Boutique Gyms, a part of the wider Lift brand group. Shakeel is a graduate in business economics from Queen Mary University of London and is working towards an accredited qualification in professional digital marketing. Welcome to Affinity Talks, Shakeel. Thank you so much for being with us today. Well, let's get going. We'd love to keep this session focused on getting as much insights as we can from you, Shakeel. So we'll start with the early journey. Can you help us and give us a background of how Queensway started and about the area of focus that you have currently on the business?
The Queensway Group dates back to the early 70s when my great grandfather, Nurdin Jivraj, due to political upheaval at the time, he had to emigrate to the UK with his family. And having grown his family's wholesale business over in Tanzania, he was actually forced to start over as he entered the UK and decided to venture into real estate. Following that, he had built quite a sizable portfolio of residential properties and hotels during the 70s and the 80s across the UK and, as a matter of fact, abroad in other markets. Midway through the latter decade, the 80s, he had requested his son, Nick Jivraj, to join the family business and to move over to the US to run that part of the operation, where essentially he had performed a brilliant turnaround project on all the tired assets that they had acquired. The late 80s then saw a huge growth for the company. They were listed on the stock exchange, but unfortunately, with the Gulf War in the early 90s, then the company took a huge hit. And as it was predominantly focused on hotels, the world was not traveling because of the Gulf War. And regrettably, the company entered receivership. It took some time to find new opportunities. And I think it was in the mid 90s where a new opportunity emerged with a hotel in central London, which my uncle Nick Jivraj and his wife were managing. That became successful. They had also won contracts with the government as a tendered contract to provide accommodation for several thousand individuals across the hotels in London. And from then on, the rejuvenation stage occurred. The company became successful again. They had partnered with other hotel brands and other like-minded partners. So, for example, they partnered with Air Malaysia, who brought over Tune Hotels. So they entered a franchising agreement with them, and they then exited that franchise some years later and rebranded all their hotels to Point A, which is Queensway's own named brand. And then following that, they had acquired other boutique hotels. We have one, for example, called the Montague in central London. We then acquired a members club called the Sloan in Chelsea. And then about 6 years ago, Queensway was approached to become one of the active franchise partners for Starbucks, who were refranchising the entire estate. And because of our history and legacy and valued operation and our success, they had approached us. We entered into an agreement with them, and we had acquired clusters of their equity stores. Over time, then we've consolidated that portfolio. It's been rationalized, and we're now one of their listed growth partners, which is very exciting. We're on an upward trajectory curve of organic growth. So thankfully, we were trading throughout COVID, and during that time, we were also able to open four new stores, consisting of drive-throughs and drive-to assets, and we have a pipeline of another six towards the back end of this year. So that's the Starbucks arm, which I am concentrating on alongside my cousin Kareem, who will be managing directs the company. He's also Nick Jivraj's son. Aside from that, we have the master rights for KFC in Austria and Slovakia, which has been a long-standing business for us. It's over a decade. And we have up to 13 restaurants there, consisting of drive-throughs, drive-tos, and high streets as well. Notwithstanding, they've had their challenges as well during various lockdowns, but they've proven to be resilient. We previously had KFCs in the UK, but decided to exit our portfolio of 20 stores and consolidated that business to other franchisees and have concentrated only on Eastern Europe, that market there. So there's a lot going on between the family members. I myself, like I said, I concentrate on the Starbucks arm of the portfolio alongside my cousin Kareem. His sister, Nina Jivraj, is our chief culture officer for the entire group. And we'll work alongside all of us, but particularly Nick Jivraj, who CEOs the whole company across all the brands.
Right.
And that's where we are today. So the Starbucks arm is growing. We're currently at 16 stores and counting. We're about to open our 17th in about 5 weeks, actually, in Manchester. And then, as I said, we've got a pipeline for the back end of the year.
Shakeel, my next question is that being a heritage family-run business, how do you continue to maintain the entrepreneurial spirit of the team?
For us, this is all about mindset, our own mindset, and the individuals that we work alongside. So we're continuing to seek enhancements to our operation. We're always honing in on our opportunities. And the only way to really do that as a management team is to cultivate that philosophy of ownership and taking pride in what we do at all levels of the business. So we have very senior members of all the leadership and management teams, alongside some of us who are slightly younger. And that helps just drive that level of entrepreneurialism, that empowerment of ownership. It's our duty to really help the teams feel empowered and to enable them to take decisions in their own hands. But not only that, it's for them to be able to feel innovative, creative, and ultimately look for growth as an individual and on behalf of the company.
That's awesome. My next question, Shakeel, would be, what according to you are the factors that make franchising a viable business model for those who want to start a restaurant, especially now after the COVID?
Look, unfortunately, the pandemic has brought multiple changes across all the industries. Franchising is, not too dissimilar, unfortunately, but regrettably, people have been displaced, projects have been put on hold. Franchisors, franchisees, and business owners in general have had to rethink how we operate the models and the businesses that we're in. But this is very much in the thick of the era of disruption, in my opinion, and how to be diverse in your thinking. So all restaurants or retail businesses have had to leverage, call it new service models, and that brings into account the technology such as curbside pickup, or could be just contactless technology, delivery, for example. And all of this helps to serve customers better. And because of the advancement of technology over the last 14 months, it has allowed all franchise models to become more viable investments. What's happened over the last 14 months has been accelerated what should have happened over a 3 or 5 year period, in my opinion. And in all honesty, with the current economic climate globally, not just in the UK, the economy can only get better post these lockdowns, these shutdowns. And we can only go in one direction. We were almost at a total standstill at one point, no matter which country you were in, and that is up.
I completely agree and completely echo your thought. Shakil, franchising business also comes with a lot of complicated jargons, business models, different kind of segments which have emerged in the market. How does one decide which model to explore?
If you wish to enter in the world of franchising, clearly you have that entrepreneurial spirit within you. My advice to anyone is to perform a great level of due diligence on whatever is your passion, first of all. So if you have a passion for a particular industry or skill set, look into that as the avenue that you want to enter into. It doesn't have to be within F&B or hospitality. It could be within, for example, online education. You could be within that sector, the STEM sector. You could be within, the care industry. Wherever your passion and your skill set lies, that's where you need to start the journey. But perform that due diligence on the brands that interest you, on the brands that have preferably a proven concept within your market, and speak to existing franchisees or business owners within those industries. You will not get any better information, more stellar and more accurate information from those who are already operating within those industries and those sectors. So that's really where I would start to investigate your journey. And then from then on, you will be able to create your own shortlist, having conducted that process of due diligence into where you want to settle, and then from that moment onwards, you can also seek further advice from brokers within the industry, who would guide you, who would do their own due diligence on yourself and suggest, particular concepts within your passion or skill set that would land within your favor.
What factors should a new business consider when choosing a franchisor, according to you?
So I think you need to find a cultural fit with the prospective franchisor. Do their values and philosophies align with yours? And that is probably first on your checklist, so to speak. Um, when you engage in dialogue with them, do you feel that they're being transparent as much as possible with providing the relevant information and the questions that you're asking? Do they make you feel comfortable during that discussion and dialogue? Um, and then anything that you're unsure about, if that information is not forthcoming from the franchisor, it could be that they perhaps do not have that answer at that time because they're new to your market as well. Then that's where your due diligence comes into play from like-minded individuals or family members who are already within that industry, and you are able to go out and seek the relevant answers to your questions, because then you can perhaps go back to that franchisor and say, look, this is actually what I've ascertained from my research. What do you think? And nine times out of 10, they will be impressed with the level of due diligence you have conducted, rather than take that as a level of criticism. And you will begin to form and forge that relationship where there's a level of trust from the get-go.
There are a lot of these trends which are coming up, and I think we touched upon in some of our previous answers that delivery, takeout, the concept of dark kitchens is emerging, and it's a worldwide phenomena. Uh, well, and you operate in a business where you have had a background of fine dine restaurants, membership clubs, residential property. So it has always been the physical places, right, where there is social interaction. What is your view on this new business model? I mean, it's not a new business model for sure. It's been there for ages, but as you mentioned that things have just kind of pumped up in the evolution as it should have been. So how do you look at these business models? Do you see these are viable in the long term, or is it just a spike because of COVID, and it's going to fade down over the years? So how do you read this trend?
The concept of the dark kitchen or delivery in general has been amplified, as I said, over the last 14 months. I do not see that moving away at any point in the medium to long term. I think with the really big players in the market already that have access to or willingness to improve their technology constantly will always have a very strong foothold within hospitality. So no, I don't think it's going to fizzle away at all. I think it's here to stay. To give you an example, within our Starbucks portfolio, during the pandemic, I mean, we had multiple lockdowns. Um, who would have thought that 20% of our sales mix, and we were only conducting takeaway and delivery and drive-through, but at least 20% of our sales mix came from delivery, i.e., coffee at home,
Right.
and that's a huge volume to consider across our arm of the business. And that hasn't really changed since the world of hospitality has opened up over the last 4 to 6 weeks. In fact, it's stayed relatively stagnant. And I just believe that the convenience that is being offered to the customer, one by the technological partner and the aggregator partner in terms of what they offer for transparency, speed of service, convenience in terms of their payment methods, how they can order, the multiple cuisines that are on offer. That is key to what the current customer feels in a very busy climate. That we want things instantly,
Right.
and they offer that. And going forward, life, as I said, will only get busier. The economy will only move upwards, and lifestyles will revert to how we were perhaps before the pandemic, where we didn't have much time anyway. So as long as the technology is always 2 steps ahead of the consumer, I don't see delivery or cloud kitchens or anything on that sphere actually moving away anytime soon.
And I think you just touched upon the next question that I had for you, which is technology. I think we've spoken about the role of technology in delivery and cloud kitchens, but when it comes to enterprise level franchise management, what kind of technology, vision that you see in the market, especially when it comes to franchisors and franchisors, and what is your involvement in the tech side of business? So how deeply are you involved in your current role, at Queensway, overseeing the technology aspect of the business?
Within Queensway coffee houses, where we trade at Starbucks, I will oversee the entire operation. So within my remit, I will look after everything digital. That includes delivery. That includes mobile order and pay, where someone will come and click and collect. That will include the technology for curbside pickup, which is due imminently in the UK via Starbucks. And we've been honing in on that over the last 4 to 6 weeks, probably a bit longer, whereby we are in the process of looking to convert our organic takeaway customer to mobile order and pay pickup. Okay. A couple of reasons for that is we know that despite the vaccination program and the easing of lockdown and restrictions, there is always going to be a level of discomfort and concern for consumers when they come into a takeaway environment and they're having to stand next to someone whom they don't know, because over the last 14 months, it's been a very precarious scenario with the transmissible variants that have been around. So we've been pushing for click and collect to be amplified within our business, and we will get that very soon to more than double figures. That will help, one, the frequency of the customer, because they can enter our cafes and exit within a couple of minutes maximum, rather than having to queue for their drink and everything else and wait. Number two, it improves the benefits of our loyalty program, because our Starbucks app and the payment sphere of the platform is linked, which not many other brands have in its totality, right? So by improving the frequency, we're also encouraging customers to reap the rewards of the benefits within the program, and that also increases loyalty within our business. And we're not the only ones who are honing in on that. I think everyone else is focusing on the right matters, but particularly for myself, this is a huge focus for us over the next couple of quarters.
Yeah.
When curbside technology hits, we have a number of assets within our portfolio at retail parks where we can take advantage of this scenario and allow customers to literally wait in their vehicles as they approach our cafes. And the technology will indicate to the store that that customer has now parked up within our vicinity, and we will come out and provide you with that product. Again, from a convenient perspective. And number two, because the customer at the moment is honing in on their own bubbles until there is or their fears have been allayed.
This sounds really exciting, and it's extremely futuristic. Now, this brings towards the end of the conversation, where of course, we are seeing that UK has opened up, thankfully, and the market is looking great. As an industry leader, as an entrepreneur in this domain, what would be your message to the F&B industry for 2021? you know, what direction that you see that the industry is going to move, and what is that one message or the thought that you want to leave?
I'd like to congratulate everyone for being resilient throughout very difficult times over the last 12 to 14 months. It's not been easy, and it's required an extra strength and a level of willpower to come through these challenging times. So well done to everyone on that part. And I think number two is take that resilience going forward, because we are we are entering into a more competitive world, a more competitive industry, particularly with the honing in of technology. And that's where I see where our future lies. The further we can advance and leverage the use of technology within our current product offering, within our operating model, then that is what is going to attract the customer of today and tomorrow. Notwithstanding that the traditional levels of service will not matter, because as restrictions become lifted again over time, I think the average consumers will still want to converse with a barista at the coffee counter. They'll still want to have that personalized conversation, that dialogue, and that feeling that you get when you enter into a coffee shop and your own choice of drink has been made as per your request, and you've been asked how your day has been, or how your family member has been. Notwithstanding that, that will never ever go away. I think that's traditional in the way that we bring customers back to us. But we also have to think 3 to 5 years ahead. What are we doing to retain the next generation of consumers in advance of our competitors? And I think that's what we need to keep honing in on.
This conversation was very insightful, and we wish you and your team all the best for the future, especially with all the new launches that are planned for this year. And would love to be in touch with you, and hopefully we can do another session once you are kind of established the new businesses that you're right now focusing on. Great. It was wonderful talking to you, Shakil. Thank you so much for joining us, for all the time that you gave to us today. Take care.